every story has a happy ever after. And after this story, there's an after party.
I think it hasn't ended yet, if I recall.
Yeah, because a lot of people have reached out to me about that.
Really?
Yeah, like I've had 3 different people send me the picture of Lana Perilla's tweet.
Yeah.
I got photos of last chance to enter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm holding on to my little bit of hope. If it's not one of us, then you know what? Like, just shoot us an email or something. Let us know how it is.
Yeah. I hope it's us. I mean, I didn't donate. I can't, but...
I literally can't either. So we're probably not...
Dagnabbit.
But, speaking of which, I want to go ahead and get this out of the way before we talk about the episode proper. It's Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
And tensions about Black Lives Matter in the United States are going kind of crazy. And I'd been thinking about, using our platform to raise awareness of a certain cause. And I couldn't think of a better one than Sisters PGH. They're a local Pittsburgh company who focuses on finding permanent housing for the trans and non-binary community of Pittsburgh, with a special focus on the trans and non-binary folks of color. So between them and their branch, Brothers, PGH, they're very vocal about protecting the people who are the most vulnerable in the community. And a lot of that vulnerability goes away when you know that you have somewhere safe to go to at night. So for all this month, our proceeds from merch and ad revenue are going to be going to Sisters PGH. So if you have ad blockers, turn them off. If you're using Spotify, just let this roll.
Just go for it. Buy some merch too. Why not?
Yeah. If you're going to protest, there's water bottles through Redbubble.
Mm-hmm.
Keep yourself hydrated. Blankets, towels and stuff. Yeah. Whole bunch of things.
Is it a company or a nonprofit? I'm sorry.
Sisters PGH is nonprofit.
Yeah, so it's not a company, it's a nonprofit.
Yes.
Nonprofit organization is the technical parlance.
Organization. And actually the most unique part about it, as far as its vision goes, it's all trans led too.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody who's part of the main panels of Sisters and Brothers PGH, these are trans and non-binary folks. So they're people who are looking out for their own community, and for anybody who's not a part of that community, they're always open for educational opportunities and just trying to make Pittsburgh a little bit less shitty.
Yeah, and they're good people. Like, I've met some of the people from Sisters.
Yes.
And they're good people.
They are very good people, and they work with a lot of other organizations too. So thank you for listening to that particular rant.
Including organizations that we will not name here.
Yes. So with that in mind, want to talk about shitty dads?
You know what? Not really, but we can talk about this episode.
We can. I was going to say, this is almost perfect with Father's Day around the corner that we're talking about this episode.
Oh shit, is Father's Day around the corner?
Not this Sunday, but next Sunday is Father's Day.
Oh, beans.
I know.
That means I probably have to call my dad.
Mm-hmm. I'm not.
Is that Dennis? Dennis! I'm sorry. Oh,
hello. If any of you have seen me...
It's all right. Thought you were my husband.
I might leave that in there. Yeah, if any of you have ever seen me done drag and have called me daddy, you have to send me a Father's Day card. I don't make the rules.
You have to send me a Father's Day card too, but just because.
Well, that's because I have to send you a card every month. for putting up with my bullshit for as long as you have, I have to send you a card every month. Them's the
I
rules.
thought that wasn't Dennis. It's way too early for him to be here. So I just shouted my husband's name at the maintenance guy.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't shout daddy.
I was sitting on. Oh God.
So
You saw ContraPoint's video about cringe, right?
yes, that was cringy.
Oh, I'm feeling it so hard right now. I was sitting on my bed in my indecent pajamas. I heard someone open my door. The cat ran, which usually means Dennis is home because the cat loves Dennis. And I shouted, "Dennis, you heard me!" And it was the fucking maintenance guy. And there's clothes all over my floor. And oh God,
it's a day.
I need a drink. Hold on.
So there's a couple of episodes of Once Upon a Time that's sort of like a very thin layer of yellow box cake with like a very thin smearing of icing on the top with like a couple of those like really like powdery kind of sugary flour sprinkles that just taste like dust in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes like that. This was like the Starbucks lemon pound cake with the very
I've never had that.
icing. My point being this episode was dense.
Yeah, there was enough to keep you happy in this.
Yeah.
Can I sorry, go ahead.
It's not just about like the stuff that happens, it's also the amount of stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
'Cause I was curious when I started this episode, rewatching it just a couple minutes ago. Like I was like, there's quips in this.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? I looked it up. Who wrote this episode?
Is it our girl?
It's Jane Esperson.
Yay, Jay!
It was really if I'll tell you the conversation it was when I was like, I have to look up the writer because this is like kind of quippy. And
there's a few good one-liners in it.
It's after the prince left the party and the main girl, the main lady, Emma, I forgot her name, is talking to Mr. Gold. And he was like, "Do you think I'm working for Regina or against her?" And she goes, "I don't know, maybe diagonally." And then he asks her who August is. She's like, "Who's that guy?" And she's like, "August Wood. He's a typewriter."
W. Booth. August W. Booth.
Sorry, August W. Booth.
Which will hold on. I'll get back to that.
She said he's a typewriter wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in stubble.
That's it. That was the quote. That was the best quote of the show.
And then she said his name, and he said something weird, like that sounds familiar or something. And Emma says something to retort, and he's like, I know a lot about names.
Oh, no, it wasn't that he said it sounded familiar. He said that it was obviously a pseudonym.
Oh, yeah, that was
it. And then Emma was like, well, lots of writers have pen names.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I know a lot about names, Missy.
Yeah. It's
kind of like, he caught on to the fact that people were named really dumb things like Blanchard. And Gold. And Ashley.
Wasn't Blanchard from, didn't they own the lumber mill in Twin Peaks?
Yes. Well, Josie Packard technically did, but the Blanchards were part of that family too. Oh my God. No, we're not derailing. I have to get through this. I'm really sorry. This might be one of like the shorter episodes.
I need to turn the AC off, so I'll do that to kill some time. Hold on.
Yeah.
My AC is the loudest thing in the whole world.
Well, if it's any compensation, I can't really hear it from here.
Oh, well, if you can't hear it, I'm going to leave it on. I'm just going to
leave it on. It's fine. I mean, the audio quality gets distorted through Skype anyway, so, like, honestly, if you've been listening to us this far, I think, like, us trying to keep ourselves alive with decent air conditioning, like, you're not going to hate us for that. And if you do, why are you still listening to us?
I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 window air conditioner in the living room. Like, give me a freaking break a little bit.
I'm in a box.
Just a little bit.
So yeah.
I'm moved from the bedroom to the living room so I don't yell. Now I'm paranoid about yelling at the maintenance again.
So yeah, this episode, you can actually, this is probably the first time in a while I can say this, we can actually very nicely break it down into Storybrooke versus Fairy Tale World.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of ones have really been intermingled and intertwined and stuff like that, and a lot of the quips, like you mentioned, have like callbacks in them, but we're not really going to focus on that.
Yeah, it's pretty clean cut. It probably makes sense to start with Fairy Tale first, though.
Yeah, because it's really short and sweet and to the point, but damn if the first time I didn't see it, it was a little bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah, I got you. I'll get this.
You
Basically,
got this?
Rumpelstiltskin's gone mad with power. His son's still around. He's cursed, and he is like turning men into snails and squishing them, which is called back to in Storybrooke. And his son wants him to stop being such a dickwad and making everyone scared of him. So he talks to the Blue Fairy, who gives him the only magic bean left that will take him and his father to a land without magic. And Rumpelstiltskin promised if his son, Bay, could find a way to remove the curse that he would take it. His son throws the magic bean in the ground. Rumpelstiltskin doesn't trust the big whoosh portal that opens up because he doesn't trust the Blue Fairy. And he goes back on his word. His son goes through the portal, and he is left crying at the portal, which is really heartbreaking. Then he finds the Blue Fairy and yells at her. And she kind of hints. She doesn't hint. She kind of omits. Like, she doesn't say there's not a curse that could get him to find his son.
Yeah, it's like like the whole crux of him going with his son has to do with the fact that he's transported to a land without magic, which is very strongly hinted at being the world that Storybrooke is in. But
it's absolutely the world that Storybrooke's in.
Well, here's the thing is, I don't know if that actually gets resolved anytime soon or not in the next season.
They do, because Regina says that Rumpelstiltskin made the curse that brought them to this world, and the episode ends with him saying that he's going to find the curse that will bring him to this world.
But that's not what I'm saying, Amanda. I'm saying that it's not necessarily the world Bay is in. And I can't confirm if this is it.
I mean, I guess you could say maybe it's another world without magic, but they haven't even vaguely mentioned another world without magic. This is the only one they talk about.
When they did the Mad Hatter episode.
He said there are many worlds. All of them have different kinds of magic, but this one has none.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, if you pay attention, what happens in the Storybrooke portion, you're going to be a little bit skeptical about some things that are a twist, but not really. Like the double twist that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
I'm looking at my notes for quips.
But
from this part.
He's talking with the Blue Fairy about, there has to be a way for you to take me back and see my son. And she's like, that was the last magic bean. That was the last thing to go to the portal. And it's like, well, there's got to be like another kind of spell I could do. Nope.
A wish.
A wish.
Scroll.
A curse. And then she's like, no. He's like, okay, I could definitely do that.
And there's one quick
got
from
all
this
the time
section
in the world.
too.
Mm-hmm.
That I want to. Yeah, he says I got all the time in the world, and that's pretty much how that ends.
Mm-hmm.
There's one quip because he reveals to his son the dagger that could kill him.
Yeah.
In front of their maid. Their maid overhears it. and he murders the maid in cold blood in the middle of the woods. And his son's like, Dad, you didn't kill the maid. And he was like, she saw me with the dagger. She could have told someone. And the son's like, she's a mute. And he's like, she could draw a picture.
So this brings me to another point. Robert Carlyle's acting. The last time that we saw him like transform into Rumpelstiltskin, like whenever he was still just like his little tiny Spindleshanks person.
Mm-hmm.
When he first gets that taste of the Dark One's power, like he's not full Rumpelstiltskin, you know?
Yeah.
He's not that crazy. And in this episode, he's not quite at an 11, but he's definitely dialed up the Rumple. And I feel like his acting was at the right point it needed to be.
Well, and the Blue Fairy even points it out to Bay that he's the only thing that's keeping the human in his father alive.
Yeah.
Is his love for his son is the only thing that's keeping his humanity kind of alive. And now Bay is gone, and that's when Rumpelstiltskin starts getting a lot more whackety schmackety, gets a castle somewhere along the line.
Like the Rumple is dialed all the way up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a portmanteau with Rumple, and it didn't. I can't.
This isn't the day for it. I got to be honest with you.
He gets over the Humple.
Gets over the Humple. And it's all insanity from there.
Oh, yeah. But his acting is really good. Like, when his son disappears, like, Robert Carlyle is just a delight all the time.
It's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. And the scene that he gets right near the end is really good, too.
Yeah. So, Amanda, I think you and I were so bored with the last episode that we forgot to talk about the ending.
Where what's his name's wife shows back up.
Ladies, gentlemen, and those that lie betwixt. We totally forgot to mention last episode that Catherine's alive and was found in Granny's parking lot. And we also forgot to mention that Emma discovered that Sydney Glass had placed a bug in the office.
Did we forget this? I feel like I might have casually mentioned it.
You casually mentioned the bug.
Okay.
I can't remember if you said it was from Sydney or not. And we totally forgot to mention that Catherine is alive and well.
Yeah.
I don't know how we forgot about that, but we did. And there's a little exchange that happens right at the end where Mary Margaret is being let out of her cell to go to a high state security prison or whatever to await trial. And Emma's all mad at Mr. Gold, saying that he's a shitty lawyer. And he's like, no, just let me work a little bit of magic.
She was going to the indictment.
She's going to the indictment. Thank you. And he's like, no, just let me work my magic. And then Catherine shows up.
Yep.
So
Regina's pissed.
This episode basically starts with everybody being pissed off at Mr. Gold for that happening. Emma is mad because she just basically is like, listen, you told me that a little bit of magic would happen, and she showed up at Granny's parking lot. And the only person who shows up passed out in Granny's parking lot is Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Catherine, don't do that.
Yeah.
Regina's pissed at him because of obvious reasons. God, like the cat and mouse kind of tension between the two is great. And they have a really awesome little exchange in his shop.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, listen, we've been in this together. Why are you double-crossing me now? And basically he's like, listen, you're a smart woman. You figure it out.
Yeah.
And we, the audience, are pretty smart too. And like, the only reason why these two characters exist is because A, Robert Carlyle and Lana Parrilla are awesome people, and you can't not have them in this. And B, the power dynamic is great. We've talked about this before. They want power for very different reasons, and it's the most interesting part of the whole show.
Yeah, really.
So, Mary Margaret has a welcome back home party with basically all of the town, except the school children.
And David.
Well, David is politely asked to leave by Emma.
Not so politely. She's like, hey, walk the kid home.
Yeah, it's like, Henry needs to go. She tries going out the door at the same time David gets there, and she's just like, nah, dude. Basically, Emma pulled a you.
Yeah.
This is a very Amanda move. Like, if somebody was trying to, like, crash my party, and you know that I wouldn't want them there, you would just be like,
no.
Listen.
She's not home.
No.
She's really tired. Ignore all the people behind me.
But Sam's eating cake. I want to talk to Sam. I want to eat the birthday cake.
It's Sam's evil twin. Go. But even Henry has a pretty good line in this where he gives Mary Margaret a card. And it says like, congrats, or we're glad you didn't kill Catherine. And Henry's like, it was from all the kids in the school.
Like he wasn't the one who wrote that.
Yeah, we're really happy you didn't murder Catherine. It was like what the card said.
The whole thing is ridiculous. And I'm trying to think about how to piece together the rest of this episode because, like I said, it is a dense episode. And what's nice is because, Jen did us a solid because she knew that the season was coming to an end. So there was a lot of things that needed to be expedited, like a lot. And she did a good job with this episode without making it feel random.
Yeah. Well, the basic gist with Catherine and Mary Margaret and David and kind of Regina. Let's just wrap that up because that's quick. Yeah. I mean, Catherine remembers being in a basement and being given food and water and then being let outside of town.
And drugged with something we're not supposed to know.
Yeah, but she doesn't know.
Nobody knows. The doctor doesn't reveal it. The plot doesn't care. Let's move on.
Catherine and David officially break up, politely, nicely. And David goes to see Mary Margaret. He's ushered out by Emma. He later runs into Mary Margaret, who says they can't be together because something in this world does not want them together, and it poisons their love. That, I will say, as much as I don't really care about David and Mary Margaret's relationship, I liked that moment because she called him out on exactly what you called him out for a couple of episodes ago. Yeah, she basically is like, you know what hurts when you're already down and the one person you thought you could look to doesn't trust you. And David makes evidence. David made a slightly salient point saying, well, everyone believed it. It was a setup, yes, but it was a really good setup. Like, look at all this evidence. Everyone thought it was you. That if your whole thing is trying to win your sweetheart back and that's what you lead with, that's not an apology, you dickwad. It's like an I'm sorry, but. Yeah. And I'm sorry, butts do not cut the mustard in this town. Nope. Only you gotta big, luscious, juicy butts. I don't know. So Robert, that's pretty much Mary Margaret and Catherine. That's pretty much Mary Margaret and Catherine and David. Yeah. Oh, Sydney Glass takes the fall. Oh, that's stupid. But yeah, it happens because as we already know, he loves Regina. Emma kind of comes to the conclusion, kind of late, that he loves her. Yeah, you kind of forget that was a thing. Like, I know she just found the bug in the last episode, but it feels like she should have confronted him, like, a lot sooner than she did. Yeah. It feels like, oh, yeah, Sydney is still a thing. Yeah, Jen, thank you. Thank you for tying that up before the show forgot about it. I wonder if Giancarlo, couldn't be on set when they were filming the other episodes. Maybe he was Breaking Bad or something. But that might have been the case. And they're like, we'll throw it in this episode. Okay, go. Or they just have random scenes of him and they're just like, we'll splice it in. We'll make it look seamless.
Just give him a little hat.
Listen, we'll throw him in the magic mirror. All he needs is a green sheet at his house. He doesn't even have to leave his apartment for that. Damn,
once upon a time, you were really ahead of this quarantining shit.
Damn straight.
So, that pin from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We got to take it out and we got to talk about August. We are still not going to reveal who he is. That is going to be talked about probably, I think, next episode. Yeah, so, but like me and Amanda have been saying, we were able to figure it out pretty quickly. Not quickly, but like before the show drops the ball on what's actually going on. We were able to figure that out. Dennis figured it out pretty easily.
Sure.
So if you guys are good fairy tale
sleuths,
really, if you're a Disney aficionado, you should be able to figure this out. That said, there's a plot point in here where August goes to see the nuns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's discovered because Robert Carlyle does not trust him. He does not trust this typewriter wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in stubble. He doesn't trust him.
August going through his office for something.
Yes. He couldn't figure it out, and he came up with like the worst excuse, which is, I thought this was the front of the shop.
Well, and later on too, he goes through August's stuff at Granny's in his like little apartment thing and finds a drawing of the dagger with his Rumpelstiltskin name on it.
Yeah. So he goes to see the nuns because he is trying to atone for the past and get reconnected with his father.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's August goes to the nuns.
Yeah, sorry. August does that. And the nuns talk, well, the main sister, I can't remember what her name is in story.
I don't know, but I'm an idiot because I just realized on like this rewatch of this episode, 19 episodes into the season, that the Mother Superior is the Blue Fairy.
Yes, the Mother Superior is the Blue Fairy, and I actually think Jen wrote the episode where
the grumpy one.
I can't remember if that was her or not. No, she didn't write it. But in that one, Robert Carlyle kind of drops a line in there where he's like, I don't get along with nuns very well.
She did. Hold on. She did that Still Small Voice, the lost episode.
The lost episode that I'm still trying to recover from. I am really sorry.
Desperate Souls. Skin Deep, which is the...
Dreamy. Dreamy is the name of the episode.
Yeah. Skin Deep is the Belle one. Red-Handed, the Red Riding Hood one.
Mm-hmm.
The Return, which is this one. And she writes one more episode before the end of the season.
Okay, awesome. So point being, like, the fact that there was, like, a call-in to that riff that he has with the nuns is really nice, especially if you do forget about that.
He goes up to her and she's like, we've already paid our rent. And he's like, what did he want from you? And she's like, I don't have to tell you that. And he's like, and I don't have to raise your rent.
Yeah.
And then later on he goes to knock on the door of Jiminy, who I don't care what his storybook name is.
Jiminy.
Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
He knocks on the door and Jiminy's like, are you here for the rent? And Robert Carlyle goes, why does everyone keep on asking me that?
It's a good little quip. Good little one.
There are yucks in this. There are little quips that I'm like, Jane.
Oh, there's there's another one in regard to Archie, Jiminy's scene.
Yeah, there's a couple in that scene.
Where Robert Carlyle is talking about how it's like, you know, I'm feeling all of this weight because I think my son is trying to find me. He's like and you know, Archie says something along the lines of like, you know,
he says a child's mad at him.
No, a child's hatred towards parents is something that can be pretty natural. And Robert Carlyle goes on to say, well, I think he wants to kill me. And Archie's like, yeah, that's not so much.
Yeah, he's like, anger between a parent and a child is like the most natural thing. And that's when he says, yeah, and he also asks him how old his son is, and he's like, let's start with something easier.
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle says.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also says in that same office, honesty is not a good color on me. Which I want on a t-shirt.
If it wasn't such a damning line, that says a lot about me, I would get it tattooed on me.
But it's so accurate. It's so accurate.
I know. Honesty is not a good color on me. So you get really good quality Robert Carlyle time when he's not in the Rumpelstiltskin makeup, which I appreciate. I think up until like a few episodes ago, like really up until the first episode with Bayonet, you didn't really get to see him do good acting, like really good acting, outside of the costume. So it's like this is very refreshing. And we haven't had a Stiltskin moment.
He was being all like mysterious and shit. So that's what he was like concerned with. Was being all aloof and mysterious. So I don't feel like he got a lot of really good acting until they started showing why he do what he do. Why he be the way he be.
The Storybrooke world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we got to get to it. What happens?
We have to. And this might be the one thing that Jen has written that I'm not particularly fond of. Not because it's like the worst thing ever, but it's like I feel like it could have gone about in a much cleaner way or a neater way. But I also think that if you didn't pick up on who August is and you were able to buy into it, it would probably be more effective.
See, when I first watched it, I bought it. For some reason, I bought it. Maybe I was cooking dinner at all the other hints that August was who he was. But I'm like, this show is not clever enough for this to be a plot twist. And it is kind of.
Jen is clever enough.
The long story short, Rumpelstiltskin gathers from this that August is his son Bay.
And they have a really good and
it's like not
beautiful plug.
Yeah, it's not like the best written scene ever. On August's side, it's kind of blunt force trauma. He's like, Dad.
Papa.
Like, yeah. And
Papa? Let's find your dagger, Papa.
He doubly diddly-do crosses him because Robert Carlyle gives him the knife.
He tries
Mr. Gold gives him the knife. Yeah, he tries.
Yeah, because like Robert Carlyle, for a little bit, he buys it. He's like, okay, you could totally be Bay. I think just like figuring age and stuff, but like, which I don't buy.
But here's the thing, like, the writing wasn't fantastic, I don't think, on this element of this episode. But Robert Carlyle like sells it, and you see like the heartbreak in his eyes, and then the anger when he realizes August doubly diddly do crossed him.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. It's like I don't hate August's performance in it, but it's mostly because his acting results in Robert Carlyle calling him an idiot.
Like, listen, it's because I don't hate August at all. I like him as a character and as an actor. I'm sure he's fantastic too. And I don't think he's bad in the show per se, particularly against Henry. I think he's actually really good with Henry. I think their rapport is really kind of cute.
Their rapport is like, you know what it is? They're Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, it's like when he sits down next to Henry at the bar at Granny's, and I joked, like, hello, intellectual equal. It's like, no, that's kind of the rapport they have. They kind of have, like, a buddy cop rapport.
Yeah, I thought immediately of Calvin and Hobbes because it's like, yeah, Calvin is like this very imaginative, hyperactive, like insane force of a child. And Hobbs, even though he is imaginary or from a fairy tale like kind of world in Calvin's head, does have a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
And like he's simultaneously a voice of reason, but never once diminishes Calvin's imagination.
Yeah.
Ever.
I just feel like poor old guy who plays August across the screen from Robert Carlyle is kind of like a professional baseball player playing against like someone who plays t-ball.
Yeah. Where he's just like, no, he's like in the beer league.
Yeah. It's like when Lana Parrilla acts across from Robert Carlyle, you're like, there's like static on the screen and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
this is tense and they don't like each other and they're doing like subtle acting things. And he's doing that to August and it's just like not quite taking all the way. And I feel bad because I do like August a lot. I just feel Robert Carlyle's a very good actor.
He definitely outshone him, but I could also see like a tactical point of view where he was like, if you really pay attention to him, like he's crying when Robert Carlyle is crying. Like both of them are. And because of the next episode, I believe it's the next episode, I do think that was genuine.
Yeah.
I do think he was genuinely upset by having to trick him.
Yeah, yeah.
But
it's not in his nature to lie like that.
Like that.
Like that.
Like that. But when he does the double cross, Robert Carlyle is like, okay, first of all, my son would never try to use magic against me. My son hates magic. That's why he came here in the first place.
Yeah, he also says, like, he says his son hates magic, and he's also like, but also my son would know better than to try to use this against me, because my son would be smart enough to know this wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Which I kind of liked. It was like a 1-2 punch of like, you're not my son because my son is a good person, and also he's a very, very smarter person.
Yes. And then it's revealed that, when Robert Carlyle is, taking the dagger back and threatening him, like, why would you bother going through all this trouble when you know I could very easily kill you? And August goes, because I'm going to die anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why yet. And honestly, I'm happy that you guys are with us on this journey because it's a good reveal.
Yeah.
It's clever. It's good writing.
Well, and at the start of this episode, he was somewhat like paralyzed trying to get out of bed. Like he fell out of bed trying to move. His legs wouldn't move.
Yeah, so like you could tell that there's something wrong, but you just can't really see or understand what it is.
And can I just say, Dennis and I have started watching Lost, and I was having serious.
I thought that you weren't going to bring this up.
I had serious Locke flashbacks to be like, ooh, is he on the island now? No, he's not.
Yeah, I have a very interesting relationship with Lost where I got secondhand information about it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because when I was getting my braces done, all of the techs, like it was kind of like in this open area, so like like all the kids could see each other getting their braces worked on, but the lab techs would just like not stop talking to each other, and they would always talk about Lost. So I feel like I know all the major plot twists, and I kind of don't care either. I really, really don't care to watch it right now.
See, I didn't care to watch it, and then Dennis made me watch it, and I kept on being like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And then we're like 5 episodes in, I'm like, hey, want to watch another episode?
Yeah.
I have things to say about Lost that I might say at the end of this season, in comparison to this show, because the producers on Lost also created this show.
Which we've mentioned several times.
We have, but there are several carryover elements, not just Easter eggs from Lost, that I would like to mention, but today is not the day.
Please don't mention Easter eggs. Like, I'm looking for theme.
No,
I'm looking for, like, good kind of tie-ins.
No, I have some thoughts. They just aren't fully hatched yet, so I'm just going to sit on them for another couple of weeks.
Okay.
And warm those babies up with my tushy and see what emerges.
That's fair. 5 with a bite.
Oh, yeah, no. The last thing that happens with that, I'm sorry. August says he's going to die either way, but he wants to convince Emma to believe. In a roundabout kind of fashion, he essentially says, I'm here to convince Emma. And Robert Carlyle lets him go.
Yeah, it's like,
and
at least you're going to die either way, so I might as well make you somewhat useful to me.
Well, and let you try.
Yeah.
And he won't reveal why he's going to let August try, but we know.
We know. It's good. It's good to hear him say that, knowing what happens.
Yeah.
Like I said, 5 with a bite. Not a perfect 5, but you know what? Like it's solid.
I mean, our girl Jane did us another solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's always really nice to come across an episode she writes, and in the future, I'm not gonna look at what episode she writes because I want it to be a very pleasant surprise. Because it always is.
Typically what I do is like I'll watch the episode and then I look that kind of stuff up. I don't try to do it midway through.
Yeah,
because it's like I want to see how it plays out. I would say that this is probably the weakest of her episodes, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
No, I'd say maybe that Still Small Voice is probably the weakest.
Oh, you know what? I actually forgot that she wrote that. I'd say they're tied.
I would say that one's weaker than this one because you don't have Robert Carlyle in it nearly as much.
It's decent exposition, and I really like how they did the whole tie-in with Jeremy Cricket. I thought that for as hackneyed of a character as he is, I kind of like the direction that they took, even though, Archie's boring by design. It's not the actor's fault. They cherry-picked him to be this role.
He could be kind of quirky and funny and weird, and that's pretty much where they keep him at.
When they let him be like more Gene Wilder, it's nice, but they never let him go full Gene Wilder. Like there's the Rumpelstiltskin dial and there's the Gene Wilder dial, and he's not even like at a quarter Gene.
Yeah, no. He's like an eighth mast Gene.
Yeah. Got to go over that Humple.
But yeah, I'd say about 4.5 is probably about right for this.
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle's great acting kind of picks it up for me. And I like I said, I don't want to look up the episodes that Jane writes because I have a feeling I'll find them anyway. Kind of like I did this one, where I kind of clocked the writing.
Yeah, it's like if it's good.
I mean, she did an episode of Firefly that's one of the, I mean, there are only a couple, but it's one of the better episodes of Firefly, Shindig.
Oh yeah, yes.
So she has that, I don't want to call it Whedon-y because it's not, but she has that, in a worst writer, it would be overwritten kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But she has enough of a way to pull it back that actually pushes plot forward and isn't just kind of meaningless drivel like Joss Whedon can get into.
Yeah, she knows how to cut the fat.
Yeah, she's a good. She seems to be a good TV writer.
She doesn't remove it. She doesn't remove the fat. She leaves just enough for you to tuck in the herbs.
Just enough to make it nice and juicy.
Yes.
Yum yum yum.
So
but 4.5.
Yeah, 5 with a bite.
Yep, I'll take it.
Just as another casual reminder that, turning off your ad blockers for the rest of the month, if you're going to go back and listen to the episode, that would really, really help us because we do want to try to donate as much as we can to Sisters and Brothers PGH. So go back and listen to a couple of episodes. Buy some merch. You could even get a sticker from us.
Just directly donate.
Yeah, because that's I did that with the Facebook and Instagram post. I'm going to make sure that I do that for the description of this video too. Is to just have link to the website, sisterspgh.org. So yeah, just go ahead and like send your money there if you don't want to deal with our crap.
And if you're Pittsburgh local or not, still remember this corona shit's going on. If you want to donate money or food to like a local food bank, or it's a good time to get out there and start helping other people, because what the world needs now is love, sweet love, and everybody needs a little bit of a help right now.
And Pride this year isn't exactly going to be a party, so just show your support that way for the folks who are most vulnerable. We love you guys. I'm Sam.
I'm Amanda.
And remember, it might not be the end.
It might not be Pride that we know.
It's wrath, and you're welcome to this party.
Beep, 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 beep.